Hi there. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what we should do if we wake up with anxiety. Okay, so before we begin, let's take a deep cleansing breath together. Thank you so much for joining me in that. I'm a therapist, and as you know, I specialize in ketamine assisted psychotherapy. And I specifically use those at home take home kits. So, not the infusion at the clinic that costs thousands of dollars, but more the type that we can buy at home. Several different brand names out there. I partner with Better You. This is not a paid advertisement, that just is my preferred provider. I have used a few others, but Better You is definitely my preferred provider. But anyway, so let's begin with what we should do if we wake up anxious. So sometimes when we have our ketamine experience, they last for about 45 minutes. This is a disembodied experience. Okay, so it is like a controlled dream. We don't want to use the word disassociate because it isn't a hallucinogenic. Although we do get those kinds of effects, it also has another component to it. So it really is a disembodied experience. So normally we'll have a good experience in our trip if we did what we were supposed to do with set and setting. If we prepared our mind and we prepared our space and we had our comfy blankets next to us, then we usually have a pretty good experience. But sometimes we can wake up with anxiety. And this happens for a couple of different reasons. One of the reasons is now your depression is out of the way. It's been moved over, and now you have some new neural pathways. So maybe all of those reasons why you were depressed are now coming forward. And so that might be the reason that you have some anxiety. Another reason is maybe you have some trauma, particularly pre-verbal trauma. So then you usually feel that anxiety somewhere in the body, right? We don't feel it in the stomach or the chest, right? So sometimes we can wake up like that. So what do we do? Are we just supposed to sit there and bear it? What are we supposed to do? No, we need to ground ourselves. That was the purpose of the heavy blanket or the heavy stuffed animal. We can just put that right there in our tummy or chest, wherever we're feeling it, and go, and just get that message back to our breath, get us back into the body. So that's one of the ways we can do it. Another simple way, and I just read this on Reddit and it works beautifully, is just touch the legs. Just touch the legs. Just touch the thighs and go, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm in my room. This is good. This is good. Or we can take that another step and say, I am Janet. I'm in my room. There's cat hair all over the bed. I am 65 and I have paid all my taxes. But say it out loud. So that way the mind can connect and we can be back into the space of awareness. We can also just open our eyes, but let's not move the head. If we move the head, we will experience more of the psychedelic experience, and that can be a little disassociating and not so great if we're having anxiety. If we have a sitter, which is always nice to have, we can ask for some cold, wet towels, and we can just put that right on our face. If you don't have a sitter, just wrap yourself up in that warm little blanket or robe, whatever you have. Go over to the freezer, open it up, and stick your face in there. That can also help with the anxiety. Then just gentle sounds can also bring us back to awareness. I have a very fancy, right here, and this is a fancy one, but you don't need a fancy one. Any little sound will work. And then cup the back of the ear and take in both the breath and the sound at the same time. And it'll bring our anxiety right down. Another thing we can do, and this one is pretty easy, especially if you normally wake up with a little anxiety after you have your ketamine experience, we can also have cold caffeine. Now, we can get fancy with it, and we can have like some iced, green tea if we're like feeling all woo woo, or just a soda pop that has caffeine in it. Maybe in a nice iced glass, or just the iced drink itself. All of those things can help us bring our anxiety back down. Now, remember, this is part of the process. And, I had a lot of anxiety in my first few trips, but after that, I stopped having that kind of anxiety when I woke up. So, everyone is going to be different. Remember, these journeys are all very individual. The kind of journey I have is very much different than the kind that you have, or my partner has, or any of my clients have. We all have our own unique way of mending our minds and finding our inner peace. So, anyway, those are some tips and tricks on what we should do if we wake up from our experience and we are anxious. These are a few ideas to help ground you again and bring you back into awareness and bring you back into this moment. Now, remember, after we finish acclimating, usually in the morning, if we're doing it in the evening, it's a good idea to jot down a few notes. Don't go crazy with this. Don't feel like you need to find meaning. And we have a little bit of amnesia after we've had the experience. So you're not going to remember everything. You're just going to kind of remember, oh, it was really beautiful, or I saw my mother in there, or something of that nature. Just jot some of those down. They don't need to be really accurate. They don't need to be really on point, but they will help remind you of where you have been, and it'll help trigger you into the integration. And we will talk more about integration in another video. But I want to thank you again today for meeting with me again and bringing both your heart and your head. And let's remember to stay intentional. And if you could, I would be so grateful if you could subscribe. My journey here is to heal communities, and any help I can get in that effort, I'd be so grateful. I do eventually want to have a big enough audience that we can go to lives and we can integrate together in real time with real people who are also doing their own work at home. I don't think ketamine is just for rich people. I don't think it's just for people who can afford gurus. I'm trying to make it accessible to as many people as we can. This is a very powerful medicine, and many of us can heal from it. And we'll talk again soon. Thank you again for staying intentional, and I will see you next time.